Hello and welcome to the 12th part of my Pillars of Eternity Definitive Edition blind walkthrough. We are for a few episodes already in the Defiance Bay, and this time it will be no different. In the last episode we solved some side quests in the Copperline district and moved to the first fires, where we will begin our quest today. So let's start and enjoy the playthrough.
To whispers and shadows.
As you can see, we are still level 5 and our reputations are steady in the same amounts. Our party consists of Aloth, Adair, Durance, Kana and Sagani. And first thing first, I
What?
have not talked to Durance for a while, so let's start with it right away. And what must you say now? So let's see if he has something different or new to say. I had the questions I wanted to ask you.
If doubts and curiosity plague you, you're skinning your knuckles on the wrong door.
I wanted to ask about the region and its history. Durance grunts, and I think we have everything, so let's keep moving. Let's me ask you about something else.
I suspect the answers will seed more questions.
Tell me about Magran. Again, everything already done. I have other questions.
I suspect the answers will seed more questions.
I wanted to know more about you. He grunts. Where are you from?
Where I hail from? From one of Margren's fires. A cathedral. Ashfall. Made of blackened trees. I studied the scriptures there. The fires carved into the land. The trunks of the burnt trees. And in the factories where the rifles and cartridges were shaped. All are chapels in other devotions.
Other devotions? Durance nods. For Magran, any fire is enough for worship, physical or not, a blacksmith's anvil, a craftsman's bench, all arenas where fire is waiting to be born. Durance snaps his finger. It just needs a spark, like an alchemical fire or a spark to cartridges, to speed them to their purpose. Their purpose? Durance tells his thinking. Well, their purpose then. It was many dens ago. Durance scratches his heart. Birth. Birth was a little brighter than now. But yes, cartridges, guns, all had a purpose, and that purpose was punching holes in mages and letting their pompous air hiss out. Durance gives a half smile, then a nod. Woke their kind right up and kept them staring at the ceiling in the dark instead of sleeping. That's for certain. Alot rolls his eyes. Pompous air, indeed. A little violence as an accounting an answer for unchecked power. Well, Magran gave me an answer for that. Magran put soldiers and mages on equal footing? Durance nods again. Mages were troublesome in that time. Firearms made every man a mage, and the caster's pretty arcane shield was little match for them. It turned each commoner into a beast that could spit fire. It leveled the field of battle, that's for certain. Made many a mage a grave. Tell me more about Ashfall. Durance grunts. You're more curious about it than most of Magran's faithful. Mm, what else can you tell me about Ashfall? What more to tell? Durance frowns, his hands tightening on his staff again, his fingers seeming to sink into the wood. It is one of the greatest fires of Magran. The high seat, he shrugs. Some say the blackest, not of evil, but of ash. All that remains after fire has fed. He pauses. I called it a cathedral before. That's not the full truth of it. It's more a battlefield. It lies in the heart of the War of Black Trees. Its timbers built from the burned forest there, and each timber blessed by fire and one of Magran's greatest battles. Many of us helped shape the war effort there with flames and firearms. What is the cathedral like? Massive, beautiful, blessed by the goddess. Flame cannot strike it twice. Duran's eyes travels to his ashen staff, studying the etchings. Beneath, tunnels and chambers, bellows and fire pits, and many of the faithful looking for a means to bring fire to the world. He turns his gaze from the staff to you. Guns, explosives, alchemy, all of these are our holy symbols, and we are eager to share. That stuff of yours seems like your holy symbol.
This? In a way. This... This is more of what's left behind when flame strikes. If Ashfall is a cathedral propped up and fenced with such sticks, then this stick, well, this is what props me up as I walk the cathedral of my road, to other Ashfalls waiting to be made, perhaps. The wood is taken from the War of Black Trees. Sturdy. It served me well on my travels. Been a boon companion.
What are the etchings on the staff? It's as if you swallowed a gutfly nest. Keep silent and keep them to yourself, lest you tire yourself the next campfire. Okay,
Oh?
looks like everything for now.
Laying low.
Certainly.
And as always, first a little bit stealth around, and our goal will be Crucible Keep. Let's see if we can find any hidden stuff. Oh, I forgot. The first goal will be Temple of Vodica and later Crucible Keep. After that, we'll see where we go. The stones of this ancient tower have been blackened by centuries-old fires, surrounded by a patch of wildflowers. It looks like a memorial. And Liranor, one of the Baker's NPC. This one is a pretty nice guy from the Obsidian forums, but I haven't seen him for a longer time, maybe too busy with real life. Even the most daring of adventurers must keep up their strength. For fresh, filling bread, see Hemia of Gilded Vale. Find their wood bread made from fine deerwood grain. It's the local crier.
Keeping an eye out. Politics, infighting, greed, and a shrine to Magrin as well.
Hello?
Her clergy belongs there.
We demand to see the duke. the refugees. He is busy, settle down or you feel the back of my blade. No hidden stuff yet. I bet there will be nothing in this area, but you never know. This is the side entrance to the Duck's castle. Or Duke. I don't really know the correct English word for that. And it probably will not be Duck. Okay, Heritage Hill, and we still need to unlock Ondra's gift. The legacy. When will it end? It's not right. Regular folk like us should be allowed to attend the hearings. You do know there's not enough space in there for everybody, right? All I'm saying is, where's our representative? Who's speaking for the common folk? No one knows. Let's get dinner at the Charred Barrel tonight. I can't. The trade agreement with Fleetbreaker Castle fell through. Need to come up with some revisions by morning. Last district unlocked. So let's check.
All these circling feet heading nowhere.
Yes, you are right. Velian Embassy.
Margaren's fire casts light in dark places.
Okay, so we have everything discovered. So let's go to the Temple of Vodica. Where is the main quest sending us? Never far from the Queen.
Nice and quiet.
This would be the temple Merwald spoke of, or what remains of it.
Praise to the exiled queen. May her crown be restored and her justice prevail. come to pay your respects to the queen that was.
Who are you?
Lord Ardwellen Rugfold III, and pleased to make your acquaintance. I came to the Deerwood on one of the first ships from Adia, and unlike the yokels and hut dwellers around here, I still keep to the old ways.
It's truly a pity to see what the locals have done to Wodika's house of worship. I was told I'd find the Temple of Wodika here.
And so you did. These savage colonists may have burned it down, but worship of the Oathbinder is alive and well. These stairs lead to the main sanctum.
What stairs?
These stairs, of course. The sanctum was always below ground, adjacent to the catacombs, so it wasn't destroyed by the fires.
Tell me where I'd find an entrance to these catacombs.
There are various entrances throughout Defiance Bay, but I dare say the easiest to reach is in Copper Lane. I haven't been to that part of town in ages, but as I recall, it's somewhere near the southern gate.
I'd like to know more about Wodika.
A queen among the gods. She oversees laws and oaths. Everything has a rightful place, and Wodika watches over them all. Of course, not everyone accepts this. Even among the other gods, her authority is questioned. But Wodika is also goddess of memory and vengeance, and she remembers. She'll remember every slight and trespass when she reclaims her throne.
What are you doing?
Worshipping Wodika, the exiled queen and oathbinder. I come every day to offer my devotion. I'd love nothing more than to book passage back to Adia, but it is my emperor's wish that I serve in these barbaric lands. And so I do.
You know that you're a ghost, right?
I beg your pardon? Is this some sort of joke where you come from?
I'm serious. Just look at yourself.
A madhouse. That's what this town really needs.
Goodbye then. Sagrani drives up next to you. You alright? Looked almost like you'd lost your footing for a minute. Feels that way when I see into the ether. She watches you quietly. You really are a watcher, aren't you? Once in a great many generations, one of my people is born with the ability to speak to souls. Usually, such individuals become elders, or a lone set of tracks in the snow. She cocks her head. I would have thought my journey would be easier if I could see what you see, but looking at you, I'm not so sure. This... neither am I. Believe it or not, I once would have rejoiced to know I'd be picked to travel far in search of something great. But even these gifts come with a cost, don't they? Forgive me if I was a little skeptical of your abilities before. I can't say I met a real watcher before. Oh, don't worry about him. He just likes doing that from time to time. Seems to cheer him up, so I just let him. Once you've seen it a few times, the shock wears off. Every time he goes a little strange in the face, I try and see if I can hear anything. Kana grins. It hasn't worked so far. See if you can get him to tell you what the spirit said. Find a way into the Temple of Wodika. The Temple of Wodika is in ruins, above ground at least. A half-buried staircase indicates there is more to the temple below ground. Although the staircase is inaccessible to me, it's possible that there's another way in. And all spirits haunting the temple told me about an alternate entrance through the catacombs. He said it should be near the southern gate of the Copperland district. Yeah, we were there
Let's see what lies this way.
few episodes ago. At the entrance, we still need to visit the catacombs. Let's see if we can find anything hidden here. Or not. Not. Okay, the last part of the district is before us, and it's the Crucible Keep.
Light, flame, and sound. We'll keep to ourselves.
These days, it's rare to find folks who do so much for strangers.
Silence surrounds me.
Okay, let's go inside. And what business brings you to the keep? Let's talk with the first person right
Hail,
away.
traveler.
Aldmar gives you an appraising eye. Judging by the scars on his face, he is lucky to be able to do that much. Every day, we get more from the hinterlands pouring into Defiance Bay. Keeps us busy on the watch, it does. You look like you recently arrived yourself. Who are you? A soldier of the Crucible Knights, and proud of it. I help keep everything running at the keep, so that Commander Cliver can focus on more important matters. Looking for something, or just knocking the dirt off your boots? What goes in Crucible Keep? This is the headquarters of the Crucible Knights, so it's where we store arms and armor, as well as where many of our soldiers bunk. Commander Cliver's in the back, making plans as usual. He scratches a scarred cheek. You'll find the forge at the west end of the building, along with our master smith, Dunstan. There's also a shrine to the golem, if you're the praying type. Tell me about the Crucible Knights. We're the defenders of Defiance Bay. We're not exactly a formal knighthood, but don't tell Commander Clever I said that. He grins. We were the first organized militia to oppose Ediran rule, and today we're the largest force in the city. Our soldiers undergo years of combat training, and our officers are required to have their souls read by that critter out in Dunry Drow. What's this about Dunry Drow? Just a requirement of the Crucible Knights, so the higher-ups know there's nothing messy built in your soul's past. Aldmar widens his stance. Keeping the ranks pure is fine by me. I just wish they were more careful in hiring their ciphers. What's wrong with their ciphers? Aldmar regards you a moment, his expression soaring. I'll say it's plain. Orlans aren't suited for the work. Hostility's in their nature, and it's hard for them to overcome it. You've done a good enough job of it, maybe, but that just means you put the effort in. Most don't. He crosses his arms. All I'm saying is that these ciphers out to be supervised by other kith. That's reasonable enough, isn't it? That's all. Okay,
Silent.
let's search a little bit more. If we find something here or not. Stealing. Not. Tongs, hardies, hammers, fullers, and punch tools hang from the wall. They feel heavy and sturdy, but their flame-darkened surface testify to frequent use. Tongues of flame lick at the forge, hissing with smoke as hot as dragon's breath. I hope I get promoted to Justiciar soon.
If this is about the breastplates, I already told Cleaver they won't be repaired till next week.
What do you do here?
I'm a forge master. I'm a master smith for the Crucible Knights. But the way I see it, I'm also keeping up with our old traditions. The first members of our order were smiths. Nowadays, most everyone's a professional soldier. I suppose it's to be expected, but I think it's important we keep up with our roots, too.
Something else on your mind? Tell me about the knights.
We were all smiths back in Hodred's day, though I'm about the only one here who still gets his hands dirty. We're a fearsome fighting force, though these days I think Cleaver takes more pride in our parade formations.
He thinks himself a progressive man, but he's obsessed with soul lineages and connections to the Druid heroes of old. He picks up the hammer again. Other than Dunri Drow, who really knows about any of that though? I found several fragments of an ancient sword. Do you think you could repair it? Dunstan gives a low whistle. That's a fine blade indeed. He holds one fragment in his rough hands. Looks Ediran. Special made. Must have been a commission for a champion of some sort. He hands the shard back to you. A sword of this caliber would have had a specially designed hilt too. It would be a shame to graft anything else onto it, and besides, it will balance best with all of the original pieces. You find the rest of it, and I forge it for you. Goodbye then. So, we will go later into the
Laying low.
endless path again to check for it. Or for more pieces. The blades are razor sharp. Penhelm. One person in the side quest or task. Let's talk to him.
Hello.
The young novitiate's armor is recently shined, and his hair is clean and neatly combed. It's hard to believe he's ever seen battle, or that the scarred antique breastplate he wears could possibly his. Are you looking for something? Tell me about the Knights of the Crucible. We're the primary defenders of Defiance Bay. The Order's founders were the first to rally for Deerwood and independence. He waves his hand. Of course, that's ancient history now. No, we're the most prestigious company of soldiers in the Deerwood. It's a glorious line of work. He scrunches up his nose. If you can forget about the barracks, that is. Was there anything else? How does someone become a knight? We don't take just anyone. Our members share soul legacies with the very men and women who defended this land a century and a half ago. He shifts his fate and coughs. Anyhow, Commander Cleaver is responsible for initiators, but rarely accepts foreigners. Does the name Osric sound familiar? He sniffs. If you got any self-respect, you won't associate with him, or with any of his new friends at the expedition hall for that matter. Scamps and delinquents, a lot of them. Hmm, Is that his breastplate you're wearing? It was. He looks down and admires it. It became property of the Crucible Knights when he was discharged. No, it's mine. And it's not for sale, if that's what you're wondering. Not every day you find armor that was used in the rebellion. He says your affidavit is a forgery. Just what would he know about that? It's perfectly convenient for him to cast aspersions. What with his pedigree in the Knights? He folds his arms. He blinks at you. It's a lie, of course, as should be perfectly obvious to someone as logical as you. What's the story between you two? Othric has always held some controversial opinions, but they went overlooked for the longest time because his family has such an extensive history of service in the Crucible Knights. He frowns and crosses his arms. He finally went too far. He had the goal to suggest that we had strayed too far from our roots, that some of our officers were beginning to resemble Adar nobility. He rubs a spot on his bracer with a silk handkerchief. He would have us all wear rockspun and fight with forge hammers. I merely reported his statements. That history made the knights what they are now. You can't just cast it aside. We've outgrown that past. He waves a shining gauntlet. Sometimes you need to move on. Sagani frowns. Outgrown it like an old sealskin coat? You adapt with the times, sure, but that's a bit naive. Enough about Osric. On that we can agree. Forever then. A Penhelm has claimed Osric armors for his own. He will not part with, while he is still a Crucible Knight. Penhelm doesn't appear to be keen on parting with Osric's armor, which he is presently wearing. More leverage is required. Osric believes that Penhelm's affidavit, affirming that Penhelm's soul is free of any Adrian influence, is a forgery. He said I could find it somewhere in the Crucible Keep in First Fires.
I'll take a look.
So let's search for the affidavit.
Sharp eyes and keen ears.
But let's check the barracks first if we find anything except locked food lockers. Thick grime cakes the bottom of the tub. The towels hanging from the side give us an awful stench. We're the greatest fighting force in all of the Deerwood. Let's check the archives now. This is a record of active patrols and reported crimes in Ondra's Gift. The latter far outnumbered the former. Oh, this one is not. And it's the Penholm affidavit. What a coincidence. Penhelm seems to have taken Osric's armor for his own, but I have his affidavit in hand as a possible bargaining chip. Curran, the cipher who signed off on Pelham's affidavit, works at Hadred House in Brackenbury. He should know for certain whether or not the affidavit is genuine. So our next walk will be to Brackenbury.
Let's see what lies this way.
Training room. It really looks like there's nothing to find hidden in these places, but yeah, you never know. We need to deal with Heritage Hill. So let's talk to Viola. The Justiciar's gaze flicks over to you briefly before returning to the novitiates gathered in the training area. If this is about patrols, my novitiates are already stretched to their limit. Between the refugee influx and the mess at Heritage Hill, I simply don't have any units to spare. After a pause, she looks over at you again. I'm sorry, was there something else you need? What do you do here? I'm in charge of the keep's novitiates. I'm responsible for the training and patrol assignments. She nods at the group gathered in the training room. They're good soldiers, and they've been quick to adapt to new challenges. If there's nothing else, I must attend to my duties. Is something wrong at Heritage Hill? She lowers her voice. What isn't wrong is the real questions. A whole district of walking, flesh-eating corpses. We sealed the area 2 months ago, just after I lost one of my finest commanders there. And yet, this is the second guard rotation to disappear. There are already enough rumors about the place floating around the keep without my soldiers whispering about these disappearances. She shakes her head. I'll just as soon abandon the district. But if those monsters should find a way out... Tell me about Heritage Hill. Used to be one of the most prestigious districts in Defiance Bay, but a few months ago, the residents all went mad, started eating each other, and anything else that had the bad luck to wander into the district. I've never seen anything like it. Now, every novitiate that stands guard there, everyone that comes back anyway, talks of the stench of the grave and the groans of unspeakable horrors. She folds up one plate-clad finger. The why and the how are questions for the animancers. I've sealed the districts in hope of containing whatever happened there. It seems to be working. For now. You said earlier that something was wrong with at Heritage Hill? She'll lower her voice. What isn't wrong is the real question. Blah blah blah, we already had this. I could look into it. She steps back and regards you. After what I've just told you, you want to go to Heritage Hill? I've lost trained soldiers there. Why should I let anyone in? Let's go with rational. You got nothing to lose. If you're so eager to rush to your death, I won't stop you. She quietly looks on at the novitiates, and if you're somehow able to put a stop to this, you've got my permission to enter Heritage Hill. I'll send word to the guards at the gate. Very well. Missing sentries. Wyla, a justiciar in the Crucible Knights, has had several of her novitiates standing guard outside Heritage Hill go missing under mysterious circumstances. The gate to Heritage Hill is sealed, but Wyla told me that the guards would be expecting me. Let's explore further.
Keeping an eye out.
Won't be long before we're a formal knighthood.
Ready, Watcher.
How's the men still think it's the law in the city? This painting shows a rows of warriors standing atop the walls of Defiance Bay while either ships sail away. Let's check the shrine first. And another open bookcase. Just in case. This is the symbol of Abaddon, a colossal smithing hammer imposed over a circular gear. It's smooth and bright with buffing oils.
Silence surrounds me.
We just don't have the manpower.
Edict of Arrest. This edict calls for the arrest of Ern, whose recent actions have led to the death of a knight of the Crucible. It requests reporting any information to the Justiciar Aldmar. It is signed Commander Cliver. And another task. The Crucible Knights are calling for the arrest of an Orland man named Ern. Apparently, he is eluded capture thus far, though the Knights continue to hunt for him. The edict of arrest I found is recently dated. Ern could not have traveled far, and it seems unlikely he could get past the guards at the gates. I should look for him in the city.
Refugees from every corner of the Deerwood. The dozens getting them all riled up about animancy. At this rate, we'll need twice the soldiers to patrol Defiance Bay. Yes? Can I help you with something?
You're in charge of the Crucible Knights? Here in the Fiends Bay, anyhow. The High Justice is the leader of our order, but he is currently stationed at Fleetbreaker Castle. My job is to oversee our forces in Defiance Bay and to keep order for the dock. Was there something else I can do for you? Tell me about the Knights of the Crucible. He crosses his hands behind his back. We are the only professional army in Defiance Bay, or in the Deerwood for that matter. We defended the city in hundreds a day. We've improved our training since then, but Dunridraw can certify that many of our officers came from good Deerwooden fighting stock. Now we're responsible for patrolling the city and keeping the peace with so many refugees pouring in from the countryside. That's become more important than ever. Unfortunately, that's earned us enemies, particularly among the dozens and some of the more enterprising families in Defiance Bay. What do the dozens have against you? He snorts. They are demagogues and troublemakers. They forget that Defiance Bay is one of the largest cities in the world and not some frontier outpost. Most of them are mercenaries on a good day and street thugs the rest of the time. Needless to say, they've no patience for law and order. Tell me about these enterprising families. How's the Meno, namely? They're the one of the city's oldest noble families and its largest criminal organization. Their patriarch Kedmar has been trying to take advantage of the turmoil to expand his operations. We've kept on top of him and he hasn't been too happy about that. I see. Was there something else I can do for you? Why don't you have enough soldiers?
Fleetbreaker Castle. The High Justice has summoned almost half of my novitiates and more of my justiciars to a keep on the other side of New Hailmar. It's not for me to question the High Justice's orders, but it's left us short-handed. And mark me, we're just a couple sparks away from anarchy.
With so many newcomers, can't you just recruit more soldiers? More recruits mean more training, which means more time from experienced soldiers that I don't have. He half turns away from you. Anyhow, I hardly see how this is any of your concern. But if you got the time to ask me about it, then perhaps you got time to do something constructive. Forge Master Dunstan is working with an MNC scholar to build what we're calling Forge Knights. Warriors that can patrol our streets without suffering fatigue, disobedience, or fear. Some agitator throws a rock at them, and we don't have to worry about things getting out of hand. He's constructed the armor, but we need the scholar's research. Unfortunately, she hasn't been around the last few times my novitiates have checked. Vaiana lives with the rest of the Scriveners out in the Copper Lane, but I haven't the soldiers to spare at the moment. Go to the Scrivener's dormitory and see if you can find her. When you get the research, just bring it to Dunstan. This is his area of expertise anyway. Once you brought him the research, he can sell you an arms or armor if you have need. He forges and repairs all of our equipment. You won't find a more capable smith in Defiance Bay. Goodbye. Built to last. Commander Cliver of the Knights of the Crucible has planned to address the shortage of trained soldiers. He asked Forge Master Dunstan to construct Forge Knights, soldiers made from suits of armor. Dunstan has crafted the armor and now he just needs the research from Vienna to complete the project. Cliver asked me to meet with Vienna, a student of Animancy. She's compiled the research that should enable Dunstan to finish the Forged Knights. Cliver sent Cliver said that she lives in the dormitory with other Scriveners, but his novitiates haven't been able to find her lately. Okay, let's look for the lady. But first, just to be sure, talk to Dunstan. Here we are. Something else on your mind? Commander Cliver said you're working with an animancer to build Forge Knights.
So much for his talk of secrecy. Aye, I'm building Cleaver's metal warriors. He says they're what we need to keep order in Defiance Bay, so...
He shrugs and shakes his head. Do you disagree with Cliver about the Forge Knights? I disagree with him on near about everything, and this is no exception. These Forge Knights won't solve our manpower problem. He can call them what he wants, but they are knights. Doesn't take it to Mark's nose to smell the trouble here. A group that can't stand together is headed for a fall. He folds his arm and looks at the ground. And don't get me started on the other problem. Those souls he's bought to power the Forged Knights. Cliver keeps telling himself that they came from willing donors, but he knows better. There's a reason you have to buy souls through less than legal channels. We should be clearing those scavengers off the road, not doing business with them. How are you creating these Forged Knights? Suits of armor and cells. Cliver's had me repairing and reinforcing unused armor for months now, just so we can fill them with some poor sod's essence. He wipes his shining brow. As long as that scholar's girl got her numbers right, infusing the armor with the soul won't be that hard. But that's not what bothers me. And you need Viana's research to complete them. She's been working out a method to transfer the souls into the armor. Getting the process just right is critical. He holds up one hand. Bind the cells too tightly and you get something like those flesh constructs at a sanitarium, barely bright enough to avoid walking into a wall. He raises his other hand, but bind them too loosely and they'll be too self-aware for their own good. Met killers in metal bodies. Enough about the Forge Knights. If only. Goodbye. I asked Dunstan about the Forge Knights that he's working on. He seemed to harbor reservations about the project. And from what he told me, I have some reservations as well. But let's go to the Scrivener's dormitory in the Copper Line.
Of all the things I've gotten used to, food was the hardest adjustment.
I quite agree. Deer wouldn't oversalt everything and drown it in sauce.
And they burn out all the flavor. Nothing like a raw deer flank.
Oh, not very tasty. So, Copperline and the Scriveners.
Or whatever happens, at least we're out of that mud hole, Gilded Vale. I grew up in Gilded Vale. Quaint. That's what I meant to call it. No, You had it right.
Here is the dormitory, so let's check if the girl of named Vienna is here or not. I found the Scrivener's dormitory based on what Cliver told me. Diana and her research should be here somewhere. Spilled tea, empty ink pots, and one detailed sketch of fire-breathing old dwarf are all that remains of a long study session. I was here before. And everything. Let's check if Diana is here or not. Nope.
Good day to you.
Corin sways slightly from side to side. Your skin still green, but you've lost your ducks. I'm looking for Diana. I like Diana. She's always talking about metal men, which is strange, since I'm pretty sure she doesn't eat snowcap. His brow wrinkles. I don't talk about metal men either. And I do eat snowcap. Huh? Funny. Anyway, she's not here right now. Flew away to Ondra's gift to meet her friend, Bessia. No, Klesia. Yes, Klesia. Klesia is the friend she's going to meet in Ondra's gift. In a house, not a boat, not house. Empty house. Ondra's gift has a lot of boats. We should go rowing sometime. He beams at you and nods his head. Farewell. He really looks like he eats a lot of strange stuff. I learned that Viana was going to meet a woman named Klesia in Ondra's gift. They were planning to meet in an empty house on the northern end of the district. So, two options now. To go to the...
Adair, you have said you fought in the Saints' War, but for which side?
The one that blew up my god.
I didn't mean anything by it. I imagine a man with a head made of fire and light would be very convincing.
Funny thing about Dear Woodens. With all that fire and light, they just treated him like another authority figure.
Okay, so yeah, either catacombs or finishing the first fires. Let's go the first fires. I just want to see what's in the Duke's Palace before I go to catacombs.
Good day to you.
The young woman wears a simple but well-tailored uniform. She watches the coming and going around her with quiet attention. Any news to share? Or are you just here to see the ducal palace? Hmm, what's the ducal palace? It's the seat of government here in Defiance Bay. This is where Duke Admet Hadret declared freedom from Ediran rule some 150 years ago. She lowers her voice and grins. It's also a hotbed of regional politics. Trust me, the gossip here beats what you'll find in any tavern or brothel in the city. Ah, dear with politics. It changes too quickly to be worth keeping up with. Better to strike up conversations in the taverns than try to loiter inconspicuously in the palace corridors. Looking for news? Who are you? I'm a page here at the palace. I deliver messages and run errands for the Duke and his advisors. The pay is not great, but I can't think of a better introduction to politics. Uh, what goes on in here? She laughed. Where to start? We've got meetings, public hearings, and ceremonies, and that's just the stuff that happens out in the open. She leans a little closer. This is where the Duck and his key advisors work, so there's always some bartering for a favor. Unfortunately, I'm not at liberty to talk about that side of things. But if you want the official version, she clears her throat and gestures counterclockwise around the palace. We have a shrine devoted to Magran, official records, and chambers for public hearings and council meetings. Tell me about the Shrine of Magran. It's a symbol of Magran's protections of Defiance Bay. She is represented the revolutionary spirit of the Deerwood ever since independence, and her involvement in creating the Godhammer bomb only affirmed her importance to us. She scratches her neck. That's also where the first of the sacred fires burn. But Firga, the tranquil ardent, has had trouble keeping them lit. What kinds of records are stored here? Mostly dull official stuff. Census counts, tax records, militia registers. No, I keep my distance. I got curious one day and got drafted into reshelving half of the records. She yawns. Worst day of my life. I can believe you that. Is there a hearing going on right now? Sure is. Duke Ever's been meeting with some of the city leaders for weeks now, trying to figure out how to address the legacy. The whole business is terribly secret, though. I tried to sit in the gallery during my lunch break one day and got turned away, she sniffs. But a lot of talk concerns animancy, so there's good reason they're keeping the meetings behind closed doors. Uh, why is animancy so controversial? She laughs. Where to begin? Traditionalists think it's a crime against the gods. There's no questions that poking around in souls is risky, but the more progressive elements believe it's our only shot at restoring healthy birth. And it doesn't help matter that animals research often involves Eld and Gwithan relics that were illegally looted from the ruins of Glenfath. She makes a quick twitching motion with her index and middle fingers. So, what do you think about animancy? Me? I think the real danger of animancy is confusing a real scholar with an expensive fake. We get a new case here every day. Some poor couple in the gift of Copperline who spent every copper they had on a miracle cure for their unborn child. It never works. She shakes her head, breaks your heart, but there's usually nothing we can do for them. The legacy? Wademan's legacy. That's what a lot of people call the Rush of Hollowborn. The theory goes that it's a punishment for meddling in animancy. What are Hollowborn? She raises an eyebrow. You really are fresh from the road. Hollowborn are children born without souls. They often don't live for very long, and those that don't and those that do have generally receive some kind of treatment from the animancers. I see. Anyway, the legacy is what the politicians have all been whispering about lately. I'd like to ask about something else. Of course, I always got my ear to the ground. Tell me about the current duck. Duke? That would be Ever Wolfgreen. Don't let the title fool you, though. Or dukes have been elected since independence. Some find Duke Ever rather coarse. He is a frontier noble. Personally, I think a rough and tumble type is just what the fiance base needs. Goodbye.
Keeping an eye out.
Okay, let's explore this a little bit as well. But first in Shrine of Magran, Durans might be happy about that. Let's see. Most bright Magran, transfer us with your flame. The stone figure of a warrior gazes toward her. Raised hands. It's empty, but the palm and fingers are blackened. Oh, what a surprise, nothing here. Let's talk to Ferga then.
Hail and well met.
The woman's head is bowed as her lips move in prayer. Just as you approach, you catch her glimpsing at the statue near her. She notices you and forces a smile. Praise to be Magran, and welcome to her temple. How may I be of service? Uh, Temple? I thought this was a palace. It's both, really. It's the palace from which Duke Evar governs, but it's also a place of honor and worship for Magran, the goddess who led us to independence and who has always watched over our city. Her smile falters. You seem upset. What's wrong? Her shoulders slump. This is about the fires, isn't it? She puts a hand on your shoulder. They are just symbols. You can put your faith in them. Only symbols? Is that why you're so distressed? No, I just... She sags with a hiss like a release of steam. I've kept them burning steadily for 15 years, but I haven't been able to conjure them for a month now, and people need to see them more than ever these days. What does that mean? It's my devotions and prayers that keep them lit. But lately, when I try to pray, all I can think about are the Hollowborn all over the city, the grieving families, the refugees. She shakes her head. How could Magran allow us to suffer like this? What strength do we gain from soulless child? Durance groans with disdain. What strength do we gain from adversity? From trial and test? The fires don't wither because she lacks in faith. They wither because she does not understand how to be faithful to a whore. A whore wants neither praise nor devotion. A whore wants to be compensated for her services. And Magran is paid and pleasured in sweat and struggle and pain. This mewling imbecile is unworthy of Magran's womanhood. And this has shaken your faith? She nods. running her hands through her hair. But I believe Megran may be speaking to me again. She frowns and casts a quick glance in your direction. This will likely sound far-fetched to someone like you. Lately, I've been seeing visions. A place in the wilderness with pools filled with sunbursts of color, strange falls that seem to rise to the heavens even while they splash into the earth. She raises her hands as is framing an image of her vision, and behind the falls is a cave, filled with fire and heat and danger, and some token of my goddess. I know there's something there, but where it is, or how I'd get there, she shakes her head. I've been meaning to ask around at the expedition hall to see if anyone recognizes the description. To be honest though, I don't know what I'd do even if I found the place. Hmm, wordless, like so many of Megran's flock, afraid of her god's test. If Megran speaks to her, it is to hasten an end to a Hippocratic's life, and this vision is surely a death trap for the weak. What's the significance of the sacred pyres? They symbolize Megran's power and guidance, and right now, the people of Defiance Bay need to be assured of her presence. She crosses her arms, staring at the statue. Our neighbors in the Valen Republic see us as superstitious, but we're just sensitive to the signs and warning of the gods. Something else? I'd like to know more about the temple here. Magaram is the most revered goddess among us Tirwoodens, so it's no surprise that her temple is part of the ducal palace. Her fire symbolizes trials, revolutions, and the blazing of new paths, all of which are important to us. She gestures to the statue. This is the first of the sacred pyres. When this is lit, so are the rest around the city. Goodbye. Cinders of Faith. Firga, the tranquil ardent of Magran, has had her faith shaken by the Hollowborn's crisis in Defiance Bay. As a result, she has been unable to keep the city's sacred fires lit. They are a symbol of triumph and protection, and they are more important now than ever. Firgas had a vision of a cave at a place with multicolored pools and a rising waterfall. She believes that something there would restore her faith. But she also believes that something else there would try to kill her. If I were to find this item for her, she might be able to resume her duties and resurrect the sacred fires of Defiance Bay. Virga didn't know where to find the place she saw in her vision, but someone at the expedition hall might know. Okay, we go to Copperlane again.
Let's see what lies this way.
No stealing. Only people with official invitations are allowed to observe the animancy hearings.
Nice and quiet.
Let's speak to the Red Court Keeper then.
Hail and well met.
A taciturn man with graying hair pores over a tome he is just withdrawn from one of the shelves. He glances up at you with baggy eyes. Yes, is there something I can pull for you? I'm looking for militia records from the time of the Saints' War, trying to find out what happened to someone. The man clears his throat. We've had a number of inquiries about such information. I'm afraid we've had to bar access to the public. Seems there are still quite a number of folk in Deerwood who bear ill will toward the Red Serans. It would be irresponsible to surrender their names to just anyone. Many came to settle here as refugees. Perhaps if you were more established in Defiance Bay, things would be different, but I have no reason to suspect you to be any different from the others. We've come a long way. I just need to find out about my brother. I don't even know what side he fought for. You must understand, I have heard many such stories. I'm afraid there is nothing I can do for you. Farewell. Eder believes he may be able to find more about the circumstances of his brother's death in Defiance Bay. He suggests there might be records of the Saints' War in an archive at the Ducal Palace. The records keeper was unwilling to show us records from the Saints' War, citing concerns about vengeful Dirwoodans hunting down Ritzeran refugees. He said things might be different were my reputation in the city stronger. So, we are still neutral, so we need to work on this a little bit more. Let's see some more quests. So last place to visit is Violin Embassy.
I'll see what I can find.
Let's search it a little bit through as well. Galvan Rect. Okay. Lore book. These postings show current prices for a range of commodities, and they track the running exchange rate for the Walian Luce. Let's talk with the guy.
How do you do?
What can this humble servant of the Republics do for you? Tell me about the Walian Republics. They are rich in all ways, in wealth, in style, in culture. If you were to go to the Republics, you would not want to leave. Why would you? The people are beautiful and charming. I'm here because the Songreta Ducala wishes it. But when my appointment is done, I will be on the first ship out, and I will sink from here to Salona. If there's nothing else, I must return to my duties. What do you do here? As the violin ambassador, my job is to ensure trade with the Deerwood remains strong and profitable. Forever.
I'm on the trail.
So, no much information yet. Let's see what we can find here. Another lore book.
Let's see what lies this way.
Spread across the table are the blueprints of an in-progress trade deal between a merchant company from the Republics and the Deerwood and Weirwool Collective. The flag depicts the symbol of the Valen Republics, a ship sailing beneath 5 radiant stars. Okay, that's it in First Fires. So let's go to the expedition hall and okay, it was near it. Yeah. It's okay for him to leave. So, back to Copperlane now. To whom we should talk? Okay, let's talk with Renan first. Venom casual is not your way. His eyes continues to float from mercenary to mercenary as he speaks. What else do you need? Forever. Ah no, this is wrong. Or not? I was correct. So let's check it again. Let's talk to Osric.
You want an expedition? Talk to Wenin. I just handle these mercenary shit shovelers. Adventurers, I mean.
Forever.
Gods keep you.
No one's here to talk about it. So maybe we will need to do... Oh! Hey there.
Strange place for a shrine to Abidan, Crucible Keep. Maybe it made more sense at some point before it gathered all that dust. And the only thing the Knights of the Crucible worship these days is the nobility, as far as I understand it.
I knew some soldiers who got recruited by the Knights after the war was over. They told me some about it. They get these young kids in there and they tell them about blacksmithing and about the revolution and about tradition. Talk about the golem like he created the Crucible Knights and his forge to go win Deerwood's independence. Then they join and it turns out all any of those nice ever talk about is when are we gonna get recognized as a real Knight? When are we getting our titles and our land? Their High Justice wants to be an earl, says it's Abaddon's will. He's got a castle and an army. You wonder how long he'll wait before he starts over a war over it, saying Abaddon told him to. They don't seem all bad. They're keeping peace in the Fiance Bay. There is the kernel of something good in there, I think. Some good people wanting to do right by each other. Trouble is, they're headed away from it. Okay, this is a little bit more about confusion. To join a faction. Okay, it's time to visit another part or to go to catacombs. Now let's go to the catacombs. Hey Mar, you asked me for one and I said no, not until you're older and more responsible. Do you remember this conversation? Gordy's eyes are fixed on the ground in front of him. Yes, sir. And yet I find you out here, playing with a blade that clearly belongs to the knights. Do you see the problem? I didn't steal it, honest. I traded this as secret for it. He points at you. Ask him. Haymore turns to you. Is what my son says true? He wants to be Crucible Knight. I thought it was a good way to get him started in an honorable profession. He stares at you for a moment, then shakes his head. Well, I still don't approve of my boy having a weapon, but I'm glad he's no thief. You can keep the blade, but I'll be holding on to it until you're a squire with the knights. Come along, Gordy. I won't have you loitering here all day. I nearly missed that, thankfully. Durance went the different direction than all of other. So, let's go to the catacombs now. I've made it into the catacombs, unfortunately. Dalton couldn't give me more specific directions, but if Rowenas were wandering around down here, there's bound to be some sign of her. Let's assign her my first quest. Interesting. We'll see what will happen with her.
To whispers and shadows.
We saw foul-smelling sludge apes in the trench. As you approach the dead man, you can feel the faint traces of his soul, lingering stunned, uncertainly holding it in place. When you near without warning, the soul hurries towards you, as though you were a solitary light in the dank gloom of his place, come to usher it away. Its essence invades your consciousness. You are in a different body now, walking deeper into the catacombs, cloaked in a dark robe with a mask pulled over your face. You're following a familiar path along the canal, heading to a room built around a statue of a figure wearing a robe much like yours. Others await, clothed in hoods and shadows. Ahead is another figure dressed like you, traveling in the same direction. You don't know his name, and that's how it's supposed to be. Out of the darkness, something monstrous grabs the other figure. You turn to flee, but find yourself face to face with a troll. The panic pounding through your brain is interrupted by razor-edged teeth and claws. You snap yourself out of the dead man's memory. The corpse lies on the damp and grimy ground. His hood and mask are missing, and his clothes are shredded. A hooded man, presumably a mender of lead and key, was ambushed on his way through the catacombs. The discourse that would get him past the leading case sentries was lost when the man was carried off by trolls. So there is something we need to find.
Silence surrounds me.
Hey,
Yes?
Black ooze.
That's it!
Ray.
Valium.
Certainly.
Another tombstone for the backers. And almost empty everything.
keeping an eye out.
Another ooze.
Hey, hey.
That's it!
And a troll. Let's stun him.
Certainly. Sharp eyes and keen ears. To whispers and shadows.
Let's go this way first.
Silence surrounds me.
Oh, sporelings. I hope there is no big one nearby. Let's try it this way. Where are you? And you. your spell here. Endurance, heal.
Sakri! This is important!
And heal.
Hey.
And change gun.
Yes?
Finish the draw. And Knock. Interesting. Let's do it.
I have them!
Silence surrounds me.
I will have to
Lay
try
low.
that spell later again. Oh. This one I was afraid. Okay, Durance I think has some spell. Number 2. Okay, let's do that.
What?
Hey.
And stop and cast it now.
Uligna.
Okay. And go for the draw.
Dead on! I'll take a look.
And search the room. And another spore.
Dead on!
Let us end.
another one.
Brave doth not believe.
Certainly. Nice and quiet.
Boudica hut. Let's search this. Perfect.
What have we here?
Oh.
Slow and silent.
A dark mask bearing the stylized countenance of Boudica is attached thread to a black hood. Worn together, they obscure most of the defining features of the wearer's hat. Okay, so I think I found him. Let's see if it will help if only one of the guys had it on his face.
I shall be quiet as a calm sea, which is not very quiet.
Sharp eyes and keen ears.
Light, flame, and sound. We'll keep to ourselves.
Now here's something.
Not yet.
Hey.
A rugged wilderness hat. Let's see if anyone has something better. Constitution 12. 12. 15. This is better for him. No, he's priest. Uh, let's give it to Sagani.
Keeping an eye out.
Margaren's fire casts light in dark places.
Let's see if we can find a trap here as well. And yes. No.
Hey.
Let's go trigger it there.
Not to alarm you, but I'm slowly dying of poison. Aye?
Oh?
Fine mail armor. We have already one.
I'll take a look.
Let's continue.
To whispers and shadows.
I shall be quiet as a calm sea, which is not.
Sharp eyes and keen ears.
Viscous foul-smelling sludge apes in the trench. Let's go. Fight that. Endurance. A swath on a black ooze.
Hello?
Interesting.
Hello?
Okay, I think I first check these locked rooms and then we'll go out.
Let's see what lies this way.
Urn. This small Orlan menace appears to have pulled together some crates and scraps of cloth to make a rather sorry-looking little camp. The thick furs on his limbs is matted and his clothing smeared with blackening grime. He looks startled as you enter, his eyes widening in alarm.
Greetings.
After a moment, however, he smiles weakly. Hello there. Wasn't expecting any visitors down in these parts. He glances around the dim room. What are you doing down here? Aaron grimaces. I've been a little down on my luck lately. Didn't have anywhere to stay, so I thought I'd come down here. Nobody pokes around in the catacombs much, not until you... Anyway. Fine, let's talk about something else. Aaron releases the breath he was holding. Yes, let's. Anything else I can do for you? What can you tell me about these catacombs? Aaron smiled wryly. I haven't explored too much of it, to be honest. Got lucky finding this little corner of it, but let me think. Well, the canal there. That's Grogan's canal. Grogan was the dwarf that planned the whole thing. It runs up through to Ondra's gift, spills out in the sea there. Otherwise, it's just a lot of bones. There's the Warrens, for people that couldn't afford better, but it's all flooded now. The fancier folks, they have their own resting places. Down here, drier places. The ducks of the Deerwood are down here actually, if you want to pay your respects. Have you seen a woman named Rowena? Aaron shakes his head. Sorry, but I don't know anyone by that name. I know I'm not the only one down here, however. I hear voices now and then from across the canal. Sounds like they're coming from the northwest. The Crucible Knights have put a heavy price on your head. Aaron's mouth falls open, and his eyes widen. After a few moments he turns away, his brows furrowed. I thought they want to keep things quiet at least. I didn't think they would. Aaron sags heavily. Very well, it's true. I've been hiding from the knights down here, but it isn't what you think. He ducks his head. It was an accident. It's been hard for me here in Defiance Bay. I suppose I thought if I got involved in city business, if I made the right friends, I would get it easier in time, and it did, really. I made a name for myself, a place. People actually listen to me when I talk. Well, they used to. People can get very passionate about these things we were discussing. I think it was shipping agreements, of all the things to fight over. But this one night, this man, he got very angry. I think maybe he'd had a little too much at the inn, on pauses, and I guess he didn't like an Orlan talking back at him. I struck him. He came towards me and I hit him, and he went over like a tree. I guess he struck his head on the way down. Aaron lowers his gaze and shrugs helplessly. Turns out he was a knight. The Crucible Knights won't care how it happened. They just want me gone. They won't let me live long enough to see the road. Please. He looks at you with a pleading expression. I just want to get out of this city. The second I can get money for passage, I won't trouble anyone again. I swear it. I'll live quietly. But you can't, please, you can't tell them I'm here. Hmm. Take him as a prisoner or play benevolent card? Hmm. Mm, I use this one. Aaron stares at you in disbelief, but this is. His face twists as he struggles for words. They said you were kind so, but I wouldn't have imagined this will set me out of the city and well away. I'm not sure I could ever thank you enough, but here, take this. I hope it's some use to you on your journey. You have my lasting gratitude, friend. I I should go get ready. I've spoken with Eon and Orlan hiding in the catacombs. He hasn't seen Rowena, but he mentioned hearing voices coming from northwest side of the canal. Unwanted. Let's see if the gold was worth it. Crit multiplier. So, who is the best? Dexterity. I'll give it to her.
Silence surrounds me.
Okay, let's check out his lair. The smoldering fire is strewn with the meager remains of a recent meal, fish bones, a molded ring of cheese, and the blackened bread crusts. The wobbly little tent is barely standing. Okay, Northwest is here, but unfortunately this will have to wait for another episode. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. We will continue probably tomorrow in the evening.